Hello, good people. This is Shweta Jain. I'm the founder of Investography and the author of My Conversations with Money. Today, I have a special guest with me, Molly Kapoor. Molly is the head of marketing at Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Funds. And she has 2 decades of experience with her. She entered this industry when there were not many women in this industry. So today's conversation is as much about money as about her experience and her journey. Welcome, Molly.
Hi.
So Molly, at a time where there were hardly any women in this industry, tell me, how did you stumble into this industry and what keeps you going?
Actually, I really stumbled into it. It just happened to be. Before joining financial services, I had no clue about financial services. I think I was just lucky to be in the right place at the right time. And way back in '99, I joined Birla Mutual Funds. That time it was Birla Mutual Funds.
Okay.
And that was a short stint with asset management. I was just looking for a job and I happened to land myself up here.
Mm-hmm.
And within 6 months, then I switched to another organization. And then after about 9 years there, I came back to Birla Mutual Funds.
Okay.
So that's how it just happened. And when I look back, 20 years has been a phenomenal journey. And I feel it's really good that it happened. And I have been privy to so many different phases of of the financial evolution of the country.
Yeah.
And when you are in an industry like this, you're not just privy to what is happening in your industry, to your country, globally.
Yeah.
So you track macros, you track even small things like demand, supply, price, what impacts what. So all that learning and growing, even the 2008.
Which
all that is
interesting that you brought out 2008 as a discussion point, because communication and marketing, one of the things that we as advisors talk to clients about is that how you have to constantly be communicating.
True.
So for your role is actually not just confined to financial services and what happens in the markets, but how do you communicate that? So how do you actually communicate in times of crisis like that? That's what sets you apart, right?
That's true. As you said, financial services is the technical part of it. But honestly, we are all in the business of satisfying some need of the consumer. And luckily, I have been on different roles throughout, my experience in mutual funds, where I've actually been very close to consumers.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you talk about customer experience, you talk about, branch servicing, you talk about national servicing, you talk about operations, and now into marketing and brand, all these roles have really kept me very close to consumers. To your point that it's important to constantly communicate with consumers, absolutely. It's not just in bad times or good times, it's a continuous engagement, and it's the need of the entire investment journey. Ours is an aided category. It's not something which is one time you buy and consume and you forget about it. Like most FMCG products is where you purchase something, you may be happy, not happy, and the next buying decision will then depend on it, right? Ours is a very engaging category, and you've been a financial advisor yourself, right? So you understand so well that it's not that off the shelf product, right? It's one, it takes time for people to understand. Second, it also needs time to grow. Right? So that patience is very much required. And during that phase, keeping in touch with consumers is so important, right? Because that's the only tool where we can explain something to. There's nothing else, there's no packaging in our thing that, we can communicate in some other, or there are no discounts, or there are no sales that are happening.
Correct.
Where, we
absolutely.
So then that I think that value, and especially the value that advisors bring to this category, is humongous. So as a consumer, I need to be assured continuously that, whatever decision has been taken, it's right for in your context, and keep with it. So, only then the product delivers.
Yeah. So you've also seen the evolution of communication and marketing, and the role of marketing itself in mutual funds.
Yes.
From 20 years ago till today.
True.
When 20 years ago, there would hardly be any communication. Today, you have to really fight for your space on that phone or on that device with the consumer. So how has that changed, and how do you constantly keep up with this?
Absolutely. So I remember, one hardly any communication, and then whatever used to be there was only product communication.
Yes.
Only
Yes.
product.
Yes.
Right. And again, they were like very similar products. Now, how do you differentiate? So the challenges were the same that time also. But one, it was very product communication, and second, it was very technical communication. Okay, so for example, graphs, charts, numbers, these were the things that we were actually selling.
Correct.
Okay, communicating.
Yes.
And as even as a part of the category, sometimes I would understand, what does a chart mean? What does a past performance mean? But over a period of time, of course, the consumers have evolved, their expectations have evolved, and therefore our communication has also evolved, right? Plus the means of communications have evolved, right? So we had only, let's say, a BTL heavy communication or an ATL heavy communication. But today, as you said, people, one, the engagement, the devices that they have in hand, okay, that's one medium which is like really dynamic.
Yeah.
Second, the frequency. So, something that you see on television once in, let's say, a quarter, now you need to see 3 times some communication on your handheld device.
Yeah.
So the frequency and the expectation around frequency, the flavor of communication, so whether it's video, whether it's regional language communication, whether it's a snackable content or a large format content. So all these things, you have to keep in mind, again, depending on what your consumers want. However, from a core of just product communication, we move very close to solutions communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And also, as an industry, there was a need to have at least a category level communication. First, let people understand what mutual funds are.
Correct.
Okay.
And you were a part of that whole mutual fund Sahi creation campaign. I remember there was a few CMOs and head of marketing of various.
We were 9 of us. 9.
Okay, interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
So you kind of worked together to create that.
That's true. That was in 2016 is when the committee was formed, and the need was that, how do you explain mutual funds to people so that, again, keeping the consumers in the center, they should not do a wrong buy. Okay, so if you remember, the industry also had this problem of, wrong purchases, mis-selling, etc. So, this was led by SEBI, and I think it was a very good thing to do. Very educational, very educational. So you sell in the right way, sell solutions.
Yeah.
Don't sell products, you satisfy the need rather than placing a product, which people might not understand.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're one of the few head of marketing in this industry, right? As a woman head of marketing. So I would like to believe that Birla has one leg up in that category, because one of the most undertapped market is the women segment.
True.
So is there a different way that Birla is communicating, that you would like to communicate to women? How are you seeing this as a different category?
See, I would probably use a different term for this. I don't look at this as a different category.
Okay.
I would just look at it as an additional category, as in, like, there's room for women to start participating a lot more in their own investment journey.
And you are constantly encouraging that. I see you on various platforms and forums.
Absolutely,
encouraging women to start getting involved in money decisions, getting involved in...
Just get hands-on on, just your own investments.
Yeah.
So yes, we've been attempting that, and I personally see this as the next biggest segment for financial services industry, not just mutual funds. So, as we see, the growing, the set of, women that are coming into workforce, and that will only keep growing, right? And I have like really high hopes from, all the women,
yes,
there.
Molly has high hopes for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I totally trust that.
Yes.
That, they will continue to, earn more and also start taking more active financial investment decisions, because money has 2 aspects to it, right? So, and so one aspect is where you earn and spend, okay, depending upon, of course, the kind of life that you want to lead. So there is always that aspect of spending.
Right.
But there is also a very important aspect of preserving, right, for your future.
Absolutely.
Or so. So women typically are very good at the first leg. Okay, so they manage budgets very well of the household. They manage expenses, overall very well. But if they can also satisfy this aspect of money management, which is preserving, growing for the future, it'll be so holistic, because they know the best. They've already managed budget, so
Correct.
You start participating in investment journeys of the family.
Correct.
That's what I feel that, that
in all your conversations with these women, do you think there are certain challenges that they face that stops them from this?
Generally, there are 2, 3,
Okay.
So one, of course, the biggest challenge as a country is that very few women are working. So, what is the percentage of women who are actually working, also earning enough to be able to save, right? So you need to have that surplus to be able to invest. So that's point number 2. Point number 3 is that even now, one, sometimes the man decides, and the second also happens that the woman just conveniently leaves the decision to the man, financial decisions.
Yeah.
So, it's like a chicken and egg situation for me, It's very difficult to pinpoint that, this is what generic, behavior is. But there are pockets of these observations that are there. And therefore, very interesting to say that probably there's not one solution to all of these.
Yeah.
There are different solutions. We've attempted to nudge through conversations and encourage women to, actively look into investing.
Yeah.
From brand standpoint, we will also try to provide them with as much knowledge as we can. And I think even the overall industry is also, there's enough knowledge out there. It's just a matter of just taking it up and doing it. And I totally believe that women will do it really well because they balance things really well.
So they multitask very well, they balance things very well, and now, yes, let's hope they're learning and getting inspired from all of these conversations as well. Molly, moving on to your personal side now, okay? So I want to know what kind of a relationship you have with money.
Oh, very dear.
Okay.
20 years I've just been surrounded by money conversations. And therefore, even if I didn't like it or it was not by choice, it just happened to me, and thankfully so. And so the thing is that what I preach, I have to do it first myself, right?
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's the best. Yes.
Yeah. So I started investing very early. I started managing money very early. I started making mistakes very early. I started learning from my mistakes very early.
I love the fact that you said I started making mistakes very early, because most of us hesitate because we don't want to make mistakes.
True. Yeah. That
So
happens.
Molly has
It's a
made
fear.
mistakes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
A lot
are
of them.
allowed to make mistakes too.
Yeah.
But when we do mistakes earlier in our career, it is easier for us to learn from them and move on.
Absolutely. The thing is that unless you try something, how will you learn anything, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about finance, right?
Yeah.
Even if you play a sport, you will fall, you will lose, you will do, all sorts of things will happen to you. But it's okay if that small mistake is benefiting me in a larger way in the future. So for example, today, can I say that, I've been able to prudently manage my money a little better, perhaps, maybe yes. So I think it was a lesson well learned. Yeah.
So I know you have a daughter.
Yes.
What advice do you give her when it comes to money? What values do you sort of imbibe in her?
Well, I take a lot of hisab from her.
Okay, a lot of
Yeah,
hisab.
lot
I
of
love how
hisab.
you said I take a lot of hisab from her. Good. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So one is that I take a lot of hisab because I want her to understand that money is not easy to earn. It's very easy to spend. And I want her to appreciate that, it takes a lot of hard work to get that money on the table. That's number one. Second, I want her to earn her rewards. So, for kids, whatever be, the rewards, whether she needs a new phone or she wants, whatever that she likes, she has to earn it. So there are some conditions to it where she has to work to earn her reward. Third is that I try to, make her financially independent already. So I think when she turned 13 is when I started giving cash to her. I got her a credit card. Basically, making her aware of the financial environment and making her aware of financial, that independence. Because if you start spending money, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't have the source, you will have to earn it yourself. So in the future, I feel probably this financial prudence will help her somewhere. So I make sure that a bank account and all of that, she has a view on her money.
Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give women who would like to enter this industry today?
Well, just enter.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for it. We have very few women in financial services. And the industry really appreciates, the skills and the drive, that anybody brings to the table. And I feel women also bring in, that balancing emotional quotient to the whole table, and the sensitivities around, managing people and all that stuff. So managing money, they're very sensitive about all that. So I feel that there is a lot of room in financial services for women to, come in and, yeah.
Okay, so just enter, don't think about it twice.
No, just enjoy the journey, and that's what I always do, and I always recommend. Don't be apprehensive, just, start. Financial services has a lot of aspects to it. So it's not just financial services. Can I call myself a finance person? No. Right? So I don't understand the technical budgeting. Of course, as a functional head, I do a lot of budgeting, P&L, etc. But investments, for example, I don't understand, right? You don't need to. That's not the only career that you can have in financial services. There are so many aspects to it. If you
there are creative aspects to it.
Absolutely. If you're creatively inclined, there is space. If you're operationally inclined, there is space. If you're technically inclined, of course, there is space. If you're sales oriented, there is space. So there are so many things.
Yeah. Right. Okay, a quick rapid fire now. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, so you win the hamper irrespective of whether you win or lose.
Okay, I have a hamper. That's good. I'm winning already. Yeah.
Okay. So define your relationship with money in one word.
Valuable.
Okay. Your next big buy.
Okay, I want to explain this. I'm sorry, not one rapid fire, but the thing is that, I have done so many purchases where now I feel that I need to be a little more conscious and more prudent with where I spend. So I want to actually slow down on my expenses now.
Okay, so next small buy.
Maybe a little holiday with the family.
Okay.
That's where I've shifted my focus now.
Fantastic. Yeah. Any destination that you've thought of? Give us also travel goals then.
Not really. My favorite is Dubai, so maybe there. Yeah.
Okay. Your pet peeve when it comes to money?
Nothing. I love money. As in, like, I just don't like wasting money. Okay. So there I'm very particular. Anything that is getting wasted, I don't like it.
Okay. Yeah. Your biggest fear when it comes to money?
Have I saved enough for my post-retirement phase?
Okay. I think that's a worry that all of us have.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Molly. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to us today.
Thank you so much.
Go like and subscribe now. Don't forget to share. We're there on Facebook, Insta, and Twitter.
एक मिनट मैम कैन यू मूव योर लिटिल राइट नो 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 राइट थोड़ा सा लेफ्ट हाँ अभी बस
Talk money. Talk money. Yeah. Money talk. Money talk. So properties now that we have.
Yeah. I saw